Giles Malone for Space Coast Daily here with Orville, Susong, and Steve Wilson. And we have taken a different approach this week as we go into the playoffs here. We have moved this programming out to the beautiful Vieira Space Coast Stadium with the Space Coast State Fair. We would like to congratulate all the teams that played this past week. There were some winners and some losers. We would like to congratulate, first of all, the teams that did not advance. That's MCC, Titusville, Bayside, Melbourne, and Vieira, for a truly great season. And now at Orville, the Friday Night Locker Room guys will now give us their perspective on the upcoming 3 games remaining. First of all, it's Cocoa at Clewiston.
Well, Giles, last week, local newspaper here had a big article, said the Great 8 start the playoffs. After Friday night, the Saturday morning headline should have been 3 remain, because we had 8 started, like you said, 5 bowed out, 3 left. First one coming up will be the Cocoa Tigers and the Clewiston Tigers. Again, another game with 2 Tigers involved.
Very good. And Steve Wilson, Steve, you went 7 for 8 this past week. You beat Susong over here, who went 6 for 8. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I stubbed my toe on the MCC game. They were 6 yards away from winning the football game, the game that we covered on the Friday Night Locker Room. But great high school football game, and I think the one we're going to pick this Friday night will be equally as strong.
Okay, now Orville, you're going to go for Cocoa at Clewiston. What's your prediction on this one?
Well, you know, this week will be different for the Cocoa Tigers. Last week, I think they tried to make a statement, but it's tough to make a statement scoring a lot of points on a team that comes in with 2 wins and 8 losses. So not a big statement made there, other than the fact that they were able to practice against another team and get live action and the speed of the game. Other than that, I don't think it helped Cocoa at all by playing the team that they played. On the other hand, the team that Cocoa will play, Clewiston, they're a tough team. They're ranked number 2 in the state. They're ranked in their classification, ranked number 39 in all classifications in the state. And the Cocoa Tigers ranked number 3 in classification and ranked 38th in the state. So you can't get any closer than that, Giles. If you have to pick a Tiger, I'm going to pick the Cocoa.
Very good. Orville goes with the Brevard County team. Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great matchup. The 2 teams are so evenly matched. You look at common opponents. Cocoa defeated Jones 40-0. Clewiston defeated Jones 35-7. So very close. Both teams a lot of speed. Both teams can throw the football, and that's always a concern. Clewiston, very good quarterback. One of the strong suits of the Cocoa Tigers is their defensive secondary. So I like the Cocoa Tigers in a very, very close football game. They defeated Clewiston by 2 touchdowns a year ago in the playoffs. It'll be much closer than that, but I think the senior leadership of some of the key players on the Cocoa Tigers will prevail. Cocoa by 3.
Very good indeed. Space Coast Daily goes with our Space Coast Sports Hall of Famer Coach Wilkinson to carry the Tigers to victory. A very interesting one there it'll be. Now then, we're going to look at this one now. It's Bishop Moore at Merritt Island. Mr. Susong.
Class 5A matchup here between the Merritt Island Mustangs and Bishop Moore. This week, round 2 of the playoffs. Merritt Island comes in with a 9-2 overall record after a win over Mount Dora last week. Bishop Moore will be a bigger challenge for Merritt Island this week. They come in with a 11-0 record, undefeated throughout the state, and it's going to be tough for Merritt Island. I think the challenge this week for Merritt Island, and then the team that they played last week, Bishop Moore, coming in 11-0 and beating Titusville Terriers last week 24-7. Bishop Moore has a big-time quarterback in Felipe Franks, who has thrown over 2,500 yards for the year. This game will be about defense for Merritt Island, but I think too much offense by Bishop Moore. I think they'll end up the season 12-0. Merritt Island will bow out of the playoffs this week. Okay, Orville, that's a bold statement there. Going against the Mustangs, what does Mr. Wilson have to say about that?
Once again, it should be a great high school football game. It's time we start talking about Jeff McLean is one of the top coaches in the county, and I judge that on his teams every year get better and better as the season progresses. But Bishop Moore, the number 2 ranked team in the state of Florida. You look at common opponents, Bishop Moore defeated Titusville by 22-7, 24-7 Merritt Island. The numbers across the board are even. Bishop Moore concerns me a little bit in that they're so physical, they're so big, and they're so strong, and I think over 4 quarters that's probably going to be the difference. I'd love to sit here and say I think the Mustangs are going to win, but I see Bishop Moore winning this one in a tight one. And whoever loses, it's going to be a very good football team going home. But I think this might be the final game for the Mustangs this year.
Okay, well, being a Merritt Islander, I'm going to have to go with the Mustangs on this one. We're going to go with the Merritt Island in a close one there. It says Space Coast Daily. Now then, Heritage have got a long drive, like some of our other Brevardians this past week. They're going all the way down 5 hours to Naples. Orville, how's that one going to turn out?
Well, this is a Class 6A matchup. The Heritage, like you said, heading down to Naples. It will be a long ride. Heritage beat Gulf Coast last week 28-3 to give them first-year coach Mark Ainsley his first playoff win as a Heritage Panther. Naples beat Bayside soundly 42-0. Naples 10-0 overall so far this season. Heritage 7-3. This should be an uphill battle for the Panthers, but I like what they did last year. They beat Naples last year. That's got to be in the back of the mind of Naples. They beat them 27-19. I like the Heritage Panthers in this one.
Okay, Steve, how do you see this one?
Well, being a Brevard County homer, the thing that concerns me is the defense of the Naples squad. Heritage had a hard time running the ball last Friday against Gulf Coast, who's not a bad football team, but isn't nearly as good as Naples is. And I'm concerned that Heritage, as well as they run the ball, and that's what they excel at, I think it's going to be a challenge, a long bus ride. Naples is going to have revenge on their mind. As much as I hate to say it, I'm going to pick against the Panthers and go with Naples to win the football game by 10 points.
Yeah, Space Coast Daily goes with the home team on that one as well. Well, there we are. It's a big upcoming week for those three remaining teams from Brevard County. We'll be right back to discuss another interesting topic, Brevard County basketball. Well, Giles Malone for Space Coast Daily back here at the Space Coast State Fair. This is quite an occasion here. This fair is 11 days long. It attracts over 75,000 people from all across the state. And we are here right in front of the iconic carousel. We've just had our candy apple, our fried dough, and we're lining up the candy floss, the cotton candy to you, Orville. Yes. And that is next on the agenda. But now we're moving in. We're segueing from football. Now we're segueing into the more exciting girls basketball, right, Orville? What do you see in the 2A for this season?
Well, we'll start out, Giles, by saying it's great to have something to move into after the football season. Hopefully we'll have another couple Friday nights that will end up in Clewiston or wherever it might be this week, and into the Citrus Bowl in Orlando for the finals for football. But we still have to let everybody know that we will continue basketball, boys and girls, after the football season's over. And like you said, the first one up is Class 2A, smallest classification, has 5 teams in it in this area. It's Brevard Heat, Covenant Christian, Masters Academy, Merritt Island Christian, and Morningside. Last year, Masters Academy won the district, and Covenant Christian was right behind them as the number 2 spot in that district.
Very good, an exciting bunch there. 3A for Steve.
Class 3A locally, District 13 consists of Benjamin High School out of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida Air Academy, John Carroll, and MCC. Last year, the Hustlers from MCC were the district champs. The Falcons were the runners-up. Look for that to reverse this year. I think the Falcon girls are going to be strong. They'll be the odds-on favorite to win the district, with the MCC slightly behind them.
Going up now to the 4A.
Biggest district in the Space Coast, Class 4A District 8. You have your Astronaut War Eagles, the Cocoa Tigers, Cocoa Beach Minutemen, Holy Trinity, Space Coast Vipers, and West Shore Junior Senior High School. Last year, as years in past, James Rowe and the Cocoa Tigers were the number 2 team in that district. The Astronaut War Eagles in the girls was number 1.
Very good. Now then, we've got 2 districts in the 5A.
Yeah, Class 5A is a little unique in Brevard County in that there are 2 districts. District 14 consists of Merritt Island, Rockledge, Satellite, and Titusville. Last year, the Terriers from Titusville were the district champions. The Raiders from Rockledge were the runner-ups. And I think those 2 teams are going to battle it out again this year. Bobby Wynn from Titusville and Reuben Williams, head coach of the Raiders, are just going to fight all year long. You can flip a coin at this point as to see who's going to be 1 and 2. I don't know that the Mustangs and the Scorps are ready to compete for a district championship yet. But also in Class 5A, District 15, Bayside, Palm Bay, and Suncoast Last year, Suncoast from Riviera Beach was the district champion. Bayside was the runner-up. Suncoast is going to be loaded again this year. They're going to be hard to beat. So look for the Bears and the Pirates to duke it out for the runner-up spot. Leaning a little bit towards Bayside at this point, but that's going to be a good district.
And the 4 teams in the District 6A.
District 7 Class 6A East River, which is located in the Orlando area, the O'Galley Commodores, Edgewater, which is also a big school in the Orlando area, and the Heritage Panthers right here in our own Brevard County. Last year, Edgewater out of Orlando was the #1 team in the district. The Heritage Panthers from Palm Bay was #2.
Very good. Now moving on up, coming up to the 7A, Steve.
7A, I think, is the most competitive team in the county with some of the top quality schools. Martin County, Melbourne, Sebastian River, and Vieira. Jamie Risberg's Vieira Hawks were the district champions last year. Martin County, the runner-up. But early in the season, they just started playing. Both Melbourne and Sebastian River have been very competitive in the first 2 weeks. So still, you have to consider Vieira the odds-on favorite. But I really think the other teams in the district can fight it out for the second spot, and anything can happen over the course of the year, but I believe that is the strongest overall district in the county.
Well, there it is. That's the girls high school basketball upcoming season, the outlook from the experts. We're going to see how it turns out. Now up next, the boys high school basketball. Wow, well, that ride on the carousel and that candy apple really hit the spot for me, guys. But we're going to hit the spot for you now with the Brevard County High School boys basketball upcoming season outlook with the Swamis from the Friday Night Locker Room. Steve, how do you see this one in the 2A?
Smallest classification in Brevard County, 2A. District 11 consists of the Brevard Heat, Covenant Christian, Masters Academy, Merritt Island Christian, and Morningside. Last year, Masters Academy was the runner-up. Covenant Christian were the district champions. That's going to reverse this year. I look for Masters they're loaded coming back. I believe they'll be the odds-on favorite to win the district, followed closely by Covenant Christian. Brevard Heat, look out for the Brevard Heat.
Okay, moving on up, Orville, we're going to cover the 3A.
Class 3A District 13, 6 teams in that district. Benjamin from Palm Beach Gardens. This is one, not only a big district, it is also a lot of mileage from one team to another. First off, Benjamin all the way down into the Palm Beach Gardens area. Florida Academy right here on 192 in Melbourne. John Carroll in Fort Pierce. Jupiter Christian, obviously in Jupiter. Melbourne Central Catholic, the Hustlers, and St. Edwards from Vero Beach. Last year, Coach Caporo and the Florida Air Falcons won this district, as they have in quite a while, and they went 26-2 last year, going deep into the playoffs. Melbourne Central Catholic and the Hustlers play right there on Babcock, right down the street from Florida Air, and that has become a big rivalry. MCC last year, as in the year past, was the #2 district runner-up behind Florida Air. I'd like it to stay that way this year. I think Florida Air and Coach Caparo will again be the district champions. MCC should be pretty close, but we'll have to see where the #2, 3, even 4 guy ends up in Class 3A.
Well, very insightful analysis there from Orville. Moving on now to Class 4A.
Class 4A locally, District 8, as far as the number of teams, the largest in Brevard County. Astronaut High School, Cocoa Beach, Edgewood, Holy Trinity, Space Coast, and West Shore. Last year, the district champs were Holy Trinity, followed closely by the Cocoa Tigers. Don't be surprised if that's reversed this year. Cocoa had a couple of practice games last week, preseason games rather, as did a number of schools. The Tigers defeated the defending state champion Lake Highland Prep Highlanders by 7 points, and this is with 6 of his players still playing football. So I think the Cocoa Tigers are going to be the team to beat in that district. Astronaut will be improved. They were strong last year. 7-team district, probably a 3-team race between Holy Trinity, Cocoa, and Astronaut. Look for maybe Cocoa to come out on top this year, followed closely by Holy Trinity, and if there's a spoiler, it will be the War Eagles.
Well, the Cocoa there at the top. How do you see the 5A, Orville?
Well, the 5A, again, just like in the ladies, you have a District 14 and you have a District 15. The District 15 being the smallest of the two. That's the Bayside Bears, the Palm Bay Pirates, and Suncoast out of Riviera Beach. Last year out of Riviera Beach, Suncoast was able to handle Bayside and Palm Bay. Suncoast won that district. Bayside was the #2 team in that district. In the District 14 portion of Class 5A, you have the Merritt Island Mustangs, Coach Flash Camp is ready to go with the Merritt Island Mustangs. Rockledge Raiders, Logan Keith, they've already started playing games in Orlando, getting ready to go for their season. The other two teams, the Satellite Scorpions and our old buddy in Titusville, Chris Bainbridge, he'll always put a good team on the table. Will it be enough to win the district? I don't think so, but they came in number 2 last year, right behind the Rockledge Raiders. So it's going to be a shootout in the Class 5A again. I still like the Rockledge Raiders.
Well, it's incredible the knowledge of these guys here about Brevard County High School sports. A lot of history there, 3 decades of covering this stuff. You should know it pretty good by now. Moving on up now to the 6A, Steve, how do you see it?
Locally, Class 6A District 7 consists of East River out of Orlando, O'Galley, Edgewater out of Orlando, and Heritage. Last year, Edgewater was the district champions, Heritage the runner-ups. Probably going to finish that way again this year. Edgewater is so strong. The competition locally in Orlando is extremely tough. Edgewater just reminds me a lot of Merritt Island Mustang football. They just get better as the season progresses. So I think it'll be a challenge for the local teams to compete with Edgewater. But I like the Panthers. They played well last year. They were competitive. They lost some key seniors. I love what Brandon Palmer does at O'Galley. But going back to, I don't know that anybody locally can beat Edgewater. And to the other two teams, O'Galley and Heritage, I think will duke it out for the second spot with East River, not quite there yet.
Okay, now at the top of the ladder, we're going up to the big boys here, 7A.
7A, the biggest in Brevard County or on the Space Coast here. And you have Martin County, the Melbourne Bulldogs, Sebastian River Sharks, and the Vieira Hawks. First thing, let's talk about the Vieira Hawks real quick. The Vieira Hawks basketball team would like to do something like the Vieira Hawks football team did. This year, the Vieira Hawks went undefeated. Last year, the basketball team did not win a game. They went 0-23. So they've got something to prove now because the football players are going to be all over the basketball players when they start playing because they went undefeated in the season. But you have to like what the Melbourne Bulldogs head coach Mike Sullivan does with his program. Every year, year in and year out, he's at the top of the district and they make the playoffs, and he does a wonderful job there. Last year, Mike Sullivan and the Melbourne Bulldogs won that district over Martin County, and I think they'll be able to do it again this year.
Well, there it is, folks. That's the boys' analysis from the experts. Right now, gentlemen, we're going to raise our lemonade here that we've got here at the Space Coast State Fair. We're going to toast the incredible season of Brevard County High School football and also the upcoming season of the boys and girls basketball. Gentlemen, cheers. Here's to the guys and the girls. Cheers.
I'm drinking mine.